President Trump did not receive or send any of the messages, which largely predated his time as president. He's not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in connection with Epstein or Maxwell.
Another matter, over the past few days, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has unveiled shocking new evidence that former President Barack Obama and top aides in the Obama administration conspired to subvert President Trump's 2016 election victory.
Jason Redding Quinones, he is the U.S. attorney who was picked by Donald Trump to lead that office in Miami this past August, that he is effectively overseeing what is amounting to a sprawling investigation, a conspiracy investigation. And this is important. Folks are going to continue to hear about this in the months ahead. It is the idea that the Biden administrations, the Obama administrations, individuals who were law enforcement and intelligence community officials were seeking to undermine the candidacies and presidencies of Donald Trump.
We are entering a world that didn't exist 10 years ago, a world where many have come to realize the evil that has been draining our lives for so long. They have been winning at every turn, but now the battles are starting to force the evil ones to play defense and do it all to keep the masses asleep. It's too late. We're going to continue to uncover more corruption, see folks hiring lawyers, and continue to grow tougher as we see what they have done to our children and so much more. And we've got a lot to cover. I wanted to thank everyone out here for 500,000 followers on Rumble. We're hoping someday to maybe make it to 1 million. That'd be great. And you guys have been phenomenal. We just thank you for your support there. They have supported us through the years and did not shut us off like other places in social media and more. So we appreciate that and the likes and the follows. And also we have this free appreciation. Thankful Thursday is continuing today.
It's Thankful Thursday, and this week we're partnering with Dr. Kelly Shockley to give you a free gift with any purchase all weekend long. You'll be receiving a Pure Beauty Vitamin C Serum and 100% beeswax tea light candle. Dr. Shockley and her Core Health Advantage team are bringing you clean ingredients so that you can let your body do what God designed it to do, heal and thrive naturally. On top of that, we're giving you our And We Know Christmas puzzle. Just add anything to cart this weekend and the free gift will automatically apply.
Pretty cool. We love this time of the year. We've got new shirts out there. Make Heaven Crowded, Jesus Saves. John 14:27. Truth, Hope, Faith, and Freedom shirts. We've got the Aqua water bottles and tumblers there for you. And follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. So go check that out at andweknow.com. You guys will get your orders done. And they're in the description box below, too, if you just want to click on the link.
To learn from President Trump. I mean, he is a force of nature.
He is.
I've known him 30 years. What have you learned from him?
You know, a few things. Number one, the president is amazing at compartmentalizing things. When something is going on, there's always a crisis. The very best day in the West Wing, there's at least one crisis somewhere in the world that somebody's putting at your desk. The president has an incredible ability to sort of say, okay, focus on that for 15 minutes and then go and focus on something totally different for 15 minutes. That's not naturally how I am. If something bad is going on, I tend to want to think about that thing and solve that problem before I go on to something else. The president is incredible at that compartmentalization. I think that's one of the reasons why he can handle 10 different problems at once, is because he's able to troubleshoot and then move on to the next thing, troubleshoot and move on to the next thing. The second thing that I've learned from the president, Sean, and I've tried to absorb it as much as I can, and I think some of this is just who he is and his natural instincts, is he has better instincts about human beings than anybody that I've ever met.
He has the instincts, and I tell you what, those have been true for many, many years. He's been exposing the Democrats and their, especially Obamacare. He was all over it, and this is from 2010. Just as a kind of a reminder, I was looking for this clip, what they did to us so many years ago and why it's destroying this nation.
But then you said this in March of 2010. Watch.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it away from the fog of the controversy.
And hasn't that idea that you have to pass it before you know what's in it, isn't that really the problem as you look back on it? That there was such a rush to get this done. No Republicans voting for it. And now there are unintended effects of this that were foreseen at the time that you couldn't know the impact of it. And now this is coming home to roost.
No, what I was saying there is we have a House and a Senate. We get a bill, we go to conference, or we ping pong it, and then you see what the final product is. However, I stand by what I said there. Yeah, when people see what is in the bill, they will like it, and they will.
When they see what's in the bill, they're going to like it. They will. So he's playing a clip from 2010. I'm not sure what year this interview is, but I don't know. I was looking at Nancy. It looks like she's bright-eyed. Everything seems to be fine. And I don't know. It seems like when President Trump entered the scene, she just, she went into stress mode. Something happened to her physically, mentally, slurring the words, and so much more here. She's just excited. Life's wonderful. We're passing all these crimes and we're getting by with everything and our future's bright. We're going to destroy this country. It's going to be wonderful. Oh, boy. So a couple more here. Check this out.
I do give a lot of credit for the moderate Democrats in the Senate who were with us from the very beginning. Because if you remember the original bill to keep the government open before the shutdown even started, there were 52 GOP senators, 3 Democratic senators. They recognized where this was going. They recognized what was in the best interest of the country. But I think, Sean, there are so many far left people who run the Democratic Party in Washington, D.C., they just want to burn it down. They don't care if the troops don't get paid. They don't care if you cause billions of dollars of lost productivity. They don't care if you shut down the airline industry, which they were very close to doing. They just want to get Trump. And they don't care if they have to burn the entire country down in order to get Trump. That's what they want to do. And I think that it shows how stupid that approach is politically, because normally you would expect the President of the United States to get blamed for a shutdown. The American people were smart enough to recognize that the Democrats were the ones who were sort of holding this hostage. They were saying that unless you give us everything that we want, unless you give us $1.5 trillion of benefits, health care for illegal aliens, we're going to destroy the country. We're going to keep the government shut down indefinitely. I think the president recognized eventually the American people are going to recognize this is the Democrats doing this. The Democrats, I think, made a huge political mistake by continuing to push for all of these crazy things. And they said, if you don't give all these crazy things, we're going to keep the government shut down. It was politically stupid, but you're right. I don't understand the psychology of a Democrat who says, we'd like to burn the country down in order to get Donald Trump. But unfortunately, it just drives home. That's what their party is about.
That's what their party's about. Saying that somebody's right. President Trump was right about many things. Laura Boley put this out. Trump said climate change was a hoax. He was right. The Russian collusion scandal was a hoax. He was right. The Epstein case is a hoax, not the crimes, but the coordinated attempt to frame him as another one of Epstein's sick friends. What else did Trump call a hoax? He called the Steele dossier a hoax, and it was a political document disguised as intelligence, funded by his opponents and pushed through the system as if it were sacred truth. He called the Very Fine People narrative a hoax, and the full transcript eventually proved that he had explicitly condemned neo-Nazis and white supremacists, forcing even the most hostile fact-checkers to admit the story had been twisted beyond recognition. He said the Hunter Biden laptop was real while everyone else insisted it was Russian disinformation. And then years later, the FBI and the very same newspapers that mocked him were forced to acknowledge that he had been telling the truth from the start. He said the virus likely came from a lab, and they called him a racist conspiracy theorist. Yet today, the very agencies that denied it now quietly concede the lab origin. He said the Border Patrol whipping story was a hoax, and it was because investigations later confirmed that no whips were ever used and that the entire moral outrage had been staged around a misleading photograph. He said the Alpha Bank server story was a hoax, and Durham eventually revealed that the entire accusation had been engineered by political operatives who never expected anyone to check their work. He even said the tear gas photo op story was a hoax, and a federal watchdog later confirmed that the security clearing had been planned long before he ever walked to the church with a Bible. When you place all of these together, you begin to see that Trump does not use the word hoax lightly. He uses it when he detects a manufactured narrative, a coordinated smear, and almost every time the world eventually circles back to the position he held long before the truth was socially acceptable. So when he says the Epstein angle was a hoax, he does not mean the crimes. He means the setup, the smear, the attempt to tie him into a network he was actually trying to expose. At some point, it becomes impossible to ignore that Trump's instinct for identifying these falsified narratives is usually accurate. Because whenever he calls something a hoax, the truth has a strange habit of catching up with him, and the people who laughed are left pretending they never believed the lie in the first place. Oh, man. And so who's having to walk back this information? Well, yeah, CNN exonerates President Trump of any wrongdoing in the Epstein hoax.
That mentioned the president. And we do want to be clear, the president, Trump, did not receive or send any of the messages, which largely predated his time as president. He's not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in connection with Epstein or Maxwell. The White House.
Look at Representative Yasmin Ansari, the Democrat from Arizona. You know, they probably placed into that because of the fake elections. Her wretched face. She looks so deflated by this disclaimer. Democrats have nothing but hoaxes. Nothing but hoaxes. I'm going to get more into the Epstein stuff. We covered it in detail yesterday. First, I wanted to jump ahead into a couple of these things that we've been kind of watching here. To most of his critics, the biggest mistake that California Democrat Representative Eric Swalwell ever made was being romantically involved with an apparent spy. It's become a point of ridicule and ceaseless mocking for the California lawmaker. Now, he's been referred to the Justice Department for criminal charges. You got to be kidding me. What else is going on? Oh, Comey. The new Comey email released by USA Lindsay Halligan in the Comey prosecution shows how he desperately tried to clear up Hillary's mess days before the 2016 presidential election. Huma Abedin's husband, Anthony Weiner's laptop was handed to the FBI in a criminal case. It potentially had Hillary's missing emails on it. Reinhold Niebuhr is Comey's secret identity. Lisa May chimed in and says, hey, no wonder Comey's lawyering up. We will soon be seeing info regarding the infamous tarmac meeting between Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton and the deal she was offered to make the Hillary emails investigation go away. As a matter of fact, Lisa May looked at the drops on the cue board from drop 36, what was negotiated at the tarmac between BC, Bill Clinton, and Lynch. Remember, it was expected HRC was going to win during that time period. What if the Wizards and Warlocks tipped off a local reporter as to the supposed unscheduled stop on the tarmac? What if the NSA, under the personal direction from Admiral Rogers, had this meeting Muscat and logged under a false identity to prevent bad actors from locating while also verifying to said players all was clear? No logs. What really happened when the Wizard and Warlocks revealed what they had? Was Comey forced into the spotlight shortly after? Not by choice? Right before the election, no doubt. Panic in D.C., Loretta Lynch talking. Truth revealed tarmac. Bill Clinton, oh boy. Loretta Lynch is talking. Truth revealed Comey HRC email case. Loretta Lynch is talking. The truth revealed that Hussein instructions regarding the Hillary Clinton email case. Loretta Lynch is talking equals truth reveals that Brennan No Name, you remember No Name, coordinated to frame the President of the United States. FISA equals the start. FISA brings down the house. When do the birds sing? Oh, man, the deal of a lifetime. Tarmac meeting not planned, according to Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton. Security reports indicate the U.S. Secret Service planned for the meeting. Deal presented by Clinton, maybe? What actions did Comey take days after that? Less than a week after the Tarmac meeting, old Comey announced the FBI would not recommend an indictment against HRC. Returning to the news? Will this ever come back to the news, folks? Will we ever see it again? Not only that, we've noticed another weird thing playing out. Paul Sperry says Obama's intel czar, James Clapper, remember that guy? I mean, all these names are starting to pop up. Has until November 20th to respond to grand jury subpoenas for records related to this communication with Obama, John Brennan, James Comey, and others during the manufacturing of the fake U.S. intelligence tying Trump to Russia in 2016 and 17. Awaken Outlaw says Clapper's a week out from having to divulge everything, and I mean everything. You got to believe that he isn't sleeping well, being fully aware that his goose is cooked. I reckon he's legitimately worried for his life. And given who he's in bed with, he probably should be. And Kimberly Au reminded us, hey, here's some deltas. November 20th deltas off the cue board. The Clinton Foundation's on November 20th, and Podesta emails. We've got the assets, F+D deployed. Some who once supported the president sleepers will turn puppets and puppet masters. Oh, fighting for survival, information warfare. Clapper's probably fighting for survival by November 20th. What happens when the public discovers the truth regarding the Democrat Party corruption? What happens when they discover the truth regarding fake news coordination with the D Party, the Democrats, to conceal, shelter, and protect those criminally responsible? Do you believe in coincidences? Well, there's panic. Big panic in D.C. Oh, you betcha. That's like I played this clip at in the intro. Here's something really valuable. Watching MSNBC reporting 2 prosecutors in the Southern District of Florida resigned after refusing to take part in the grand conspiracy investigation of Obama, Hillary, Clapper, Brennan, and others. MSNBC's panicking about this investigation. Confirms how real it is.
Walk us through your exclusive reporting.
Yeah, along with our colleague here at the White House, Laura Barone Lopez, we have from sources that down in the Southern District of Florida, Jason Redding Quinones, he is the U.S. attorney who was picked by Donald Trump to lead that office in Miami this past August, that he is effectively overseeing what is amounting to a sprawling investigation, a conspiracy investigation. And this is important. Folks are going to continue to hear about this in the months ahead. It is the idea that the Biden administration, the Obama administration's individuals who were law enforcement and intelligence community officials were seeking to undermine the candidacies and presidencies of Donald Trump over effectively the last 8 years. And what is underway is at least 30 subpoenas were sent out on Friday by this office. But just before the number 3 in the office signed off on those subpoenas, 2 junior assistant U.S. attorneys had resigned. I am told that at least one of them was asked to do something that was outside of their realm of comfortability and what they believed would violate their ethical responsibilities. Now, it's worth noting that the number 3 in the office, the executive assistant U.S. attorney, was the one who signed off on those subpoenas. Usually you don't see somebody in a leadership capacity, sort of like how Lindsey Halligan in the Northern District of Virginia signed off on the indictments of Tish James. It's uncommon to see somebody that is not aligned frontline prosecutor who is ultimately overseeing such an investigation. I'm told that other prosecutors in the office are on, quote, pins and needles because they fear that they are going to be asked to take part in this investigation that the president has been very explicit that he has said should lead to the arrest of President Obama, James Clapper, John Brennan, even people like Hillary Clinton. It is a vast investigation here, in one in which down in the Southern District of Florida is causing concerns over prosecutors being asked to do the job that they do not feel comfortable is based in substance and based in one in which they should be actually asked to go and move forward with such not only subpoenas but potentially indictments. Did you hear him?
Prior to December 2021, my husband Larry was a healthy, active man with no health concerns or underlying conditions. He was a college lecturer and a successful musician, but that was all taken away from him on the 15th of December 2021. That was the day he received a COVID Pfizer booster injection in Oma Leisure Centre.
Well, that heartbreaking story from Larry Lowe's wife. She's talking because it's too hard for him to speak. Just because you didn't react immediately to the COVID jab, it doesn't mean you are in the clear. Mysterious symptoms and even deaths are surfacing months, sometimes years later. So you look at this, the VAERS reports show way more COVID vaccine injuries than something as common as Tylenol. And get this, experts estimate only 1% of cases are even reported. Plus, shedding means you could be exposed even if you skip the shot. Now, mRNA vaccines could be in our livestock, even organic. Why are mRNA vaccines different? It's the spike proteins. These proteins meant to train your immune system can interact with blood vessels and platelets, potentially causing clotting or inflammation. Overwhelming evidence shows millions are affected. So what's the solution? It starts with your gut. A healthy gut microbiome is the number one factor in fixing damage from vaccines, antibiotics, and the standard American diet. And the best way to boost gut diversity is kimchi. Studies like one from the National Institute of Health show kimchi's incredible power to restore gut health. But let's be real, eating kimchi daily isn't easy. That's where Brightcore's Kimchi One comes in. Delivers 900 probiotic strains, live enzymes, and antioxidants in one convenient capsule. No mess, no taste. It supports digestion, energy, metabolism, immunity, and more. The And We Know listeners can get 25% off Kimchi One with code AWK at mybrightcore.com/AWK or call 888-317-9941 for up to 50% off plus free shipping today. So here we are with Michael Wolff. Remember the guy that had all kinds of stuff going on, trying to tie Trump and Epstein together. The journalist who we learned was coaching Epstein on how to gain leverage over presidential candidates. Said in an interview that Epstein was growing suspicious that Donald Trump was the one who informed on him, and set the stage for when his legal troubles truly began.
At that point, Epstein's legal problems began. The police began to investigate him over allegations that he was, that there were underage women coming to his house. Epstein believed that it was Trump who first informed the police about what was going on at Epstein's house. And from that point on, they were nothing but bitter enemies.
And this is what he's telling you. This is one of the instances of what he's telling you. That,
yes.
That the following
yes,
that happened.
That is the version of this related by
the hoax yesterday.
What Trump is referring to is the hoax that the Democrats are using to try to attack him. He has never said or suggested or implied. I've talked to him about this many times.
It comes across as he's calling the whole thing a hoax.
It's been misrepresented. He's not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago. What he's talking about is the Democrats who are doing this with impure motives. If they cared so much about this, why didn't they do something during the 4 years of the Biden administration when the Biden DOJ had all the records? They didn't say a word about it. Now they're doing it for political purposes.
Our current president has had relationships with Epstein in the past, and there are those Katie Johnson and maybe other victims who have accused Trump of being involved in things like this. In my experience, Trump supporters will not listen to anything along those lines. Obviously, we're not a court of law here right now, but are those claims of though that case was dropped, it was dropped before it went to court. In your opinion as a lawyer and your experience, is there anything you can say as to the validity of those claims, or whether or not there will be any more about that?
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
That was in 2009?
That was in 2009.
Absolutely amazing. Epstein's legal troubles began in 2005, and Wolf was pointing to a 2004 real estate dispute over a Palm Beach mansion. So then we had newly released emails like you're seeing on your screen. It says the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. It's from old Epstein. That stuck with me. And then it clicked. The phrase, the dog that hasn't barked, comes from Sherlock Holmes' story called Silver Blaze. In the story, the stable had a guard dog. On the night of the crime, the dog did not bark, which meant the intruder must have been someone the dog knew. Otherwise, it would have barked. So who was redacted in that email? Virginia Giuffre, whose name Democrats redacted. Remember, they took her name out. Epstein wrote he was 75% there, meaning 75% sure it was Trump as the silent informant, with Giuffre as they likely conduit for the tip-off knowledge. This email tells me Epstein was trying to find the leak after a British tabloid started exposing his network, and he was emailing associates to hunt down the source. Who's exposing me? Who's exposing me? Trump was exposing him. Then we have attorney Bradley Edwards, who in 2009 praised Donald Trump for being the only subpoenaed person to willingly help provide helpful information. Donald Trump was the only person who would pick up the phone. He gave very good information that checked out and was very helpful. Then, just a few months ago, we heard Mike Johnson say Trump was an FBI informant trying to take Epstein down. Epstein and Maxwell were finally arrested under the Trump administration. In summary, in Epstein's own words, the timeline, the motive, the silence, the cooperation, the arrests, everything points to one conclusion. Donald Trump was the informant who helped take down one of the most prolific pedo and blackmail operations in history. A lot of people are going to owe him an apology when this is all done. Now, CNN reporting on Virginia Giuffre's memoir last month. They noted she made no allegations against Trump. Yet all day yesterday, CNN was telling a completely different story. They're trash.
The memoir does also mention Donald Trump. Giuffre recalls meeting him at his Mar-a-Lago resort whilst working as a locker room attendant. Giuffre makes no allegations of abuse against Trump in this book.
It couldn't have been more than a few days before my dad said he wanted to introduce me to Mr. Trump himself. They weren't friends exactly, but Dad worked hard and Trump liked that. I'd seen photos of them posing together, shaking hands. So one day my father took me to Trump's office. "This is my daughter," Dad said, and his voice sounded proud. Trump couldn't have been friendlier, telling me it was fantastic that I was there.
Oh, yeah. They have nothing left, and they're trying so hard to find anything they can to go after him. Yet they continue to lie. Observing Consciousness said this: Trump just told everyone what game is being played. The Epstein push is not about Epstein. It is a manufactured distraction deployed at the exact moment Democrats need cover for the shutdown fiasco. They lit the fire that burned in $1.5 trillion in damage across the country, and now they're scrambling for anything that keeps eyes off their failure. Trump is framing it cleanly. Do not take the bait. Do not chase the decoy. The shutdown exposed their entire playbook, and they know it. Every time they reach for Epstein, it's panic time, not strength. Trump is locking the narrative around accountability for the economic hit, the stalled country, and the political costs they created. Remember this post? Drop 4923 from October 21st, 2020. Dearest Virginia, we stand with you now and always. Find peace through prayer. Never give up the good fight. God bless you. As the exposure continued. The official X account of the Democrat Party deleted their post claiming President Trump spent Thanksgiving with Jeffrey Epstein in 2017. He was literally the president. You don't think somebody noticed? Trump should bankrupt the DNC for this. As you see it on your screen. I saw this from Scotty Marr, and I just want you to see the things that were posted that really make sense here. We are seeing sanctions dressed as tariffs. Q is brilliant from the Rubber Duck Executive Order 13818. Remember, blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. December 20th, 2017. This targets persons engaged in serious human rights abuse and corruption abroad. Executive Order 13848, imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in a United States election. September 12th, 2018. This explicitly addresses foreign interference in all these elections, right? 13848, Sir Oliver Pollock. Posting this from Eric Doherty. In a massive development, Secretary Marco Rubio designates Antifa a foreign terrorist organization, an escalation above the current domestic designation. This will surge the government's ability to choke their funding source and end their activities. Remember, the Democrats releasing this, right? The newly released email showed Jeffrey Epstein thought Trump was one of the worst people he knew, with not one decent cell in his body. He went on to describe Trump with one word: dangerous. So let's get this straight. The release of Epstein emails, we found out that Epstein hated Trump and didn't trust him. It's basically what we got. Wow. And then Democrats released, remember, documents showed Donald Trump spent Thanksgiving with Jeffrey Epstein. At the time, Trump was already president. And so no matter what they were doing, trying to expose it, then they hit delete on that one because they realized their mistake. Trump spent Thanksgiving serving meals to active duty armed forces. We're going to see that. Lisa May, now you know why Trump's been calling the Democrat demand to release the Epstein list another hoax. Remember this, Trump just told everyone the game is being played. The Epstein push is not about Epstein observing consciousness. Just like we read before. Good catch from Scotty Moore putting these together to get that out to the public. And then we had this video clip.
I mean, should we play the voicemail?
Yeah.
Not saying who it's from. Everyone will know.
Hi, Sharon. It's Donald Trump, and I just wanted to wish you the best and the family of great food. Honestly, it was amazing. He was an amazing guy. I met him a few times, and I want to tell you, he was unique in every way and talented. So I just wanted to wish you the best, and it's a tough thing. I know how close you were, and whatever I can do, take care of yourself. Say hello to the family. Thanks. Bye.
Love him or hate him, he didn't have to call and leave a voicemail.
Listen, when it comes to politics, we know nobody comes out a winner. Whoever you like, there's
half
of people are going to go like this. And now it's more so than ever in history, is it, that people's choice of which party, which politician, you can't come out a winner. All I know is a man that I know, I worked with for a month. I spent 1 month with him and his wife, who was always gracious, elegant, just a delight to talk to, his wife.
Yeah.
And he was always how are the children? How's Kelly? I'm so proud of Kelly and Jack for what they've done, and their manners are great. And he was just a great guy to talk to, and he has always treated me with respect. Listen, I'm not American. I can't vote. I don't want to vote. I don't vote for anyone. I vote for no one. Never have, never will. But the thing is, all I know is he's treated me with respect, your father with respect. He wanted nothing from us. Nothing. Yeah. Melania the same, nothing. And they have been great. And for him to take his time to do that for us, and because, do you know what? He doesn't live in a bubble. He knows what's going on in the streets. He knows what is going on. And I can't say that for our Prime Minister. Again, for President Trump and Melania, thank you.
So that was, I believe, Sharon Osbourne. I believe they're talking about Ozzy sang music that I didn't care for. I don't think I even listened to it. Maybe I heard a couple of phrases when I was younger. I just couldn't stand it at the time. Supposedly he made some changes later in his life. But bottom line is this. It doesn't matter. And the fact that President Trump would reach out to them and send them a message and love on them with the loss of her husband, it's very interesting. And my reminder as I was listening to this was, if any of you bought my book and read it, I have several stories in there. I'm a storyteller. I love telling stories about when you follow the Lord and you actually do the things that he asks you to do, like love your neighbor as yourself, not love the neighbor who's good to you, love the neighbor who's perfect, love the neighbor who doesn't sing or listen to terrible music. No, just love your neighbor as yourself. I found that very interesting because just about everybody that I worked with throughout my career in the Marine Corps and civilian service and more, I was exposed to people from various backgrounds. I got a story of a Gothic that led to Christ, a rapper who every other word out of his mouth was cursing, a guy who was had an alternate lifestyle led him to Christ, a lady who was a very, very what we call ultra-feminist, who was against having children, all kinds of stuff. She ended up eventually having a child, and that's another wonderful story I didn't put in the book. But over and over again, people are people. They the Bible says, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son." It does say He only loved the people who were perfect, or the ones that didn't sing the demonic music. And so, just interesting that they're sharing this, and she's trying to talk about politics and how it's divided 50-50. That's the only thing I didn't like about this was, to me, it's not 50-50. I think it's more 75-25 or 80-20, because the media is going to lie to you and tell you everything's split down the middle. If we had real elections, Sharon would probably be in shock about America. She'd be like, wait a minute, what just happened? Well, 75-80% of the people voted for the Republican side. We have hardly any Democrats winning. Why? Because Democrats cheat to win. That's the only way they can get it. Nobody actually listens to them or cares about them. And then she says politics is bad. I don't even like to talk about it. And then she brings up Keir Starmer, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, he's terrible." So she does have an opinion on that, but I don't know. I didn't think I was going to talk about that, but we did. Now I'm going to show you this. J.D. Vance says the quiet part out loud. Housing is broken. Check this out.
I know that there are a lot of people out there, Sean, who are saying things are expensive. And we have to remember they're expensive because we inherited this terrible inflation crisis from the Biden administration. But you've already seen signs that things are getting better. The price of eggs has gone way down. The price of energy has gone way down. The price of gasoline has gone way down. And as we know, when the price of energy goes down, that starts to filter out into the entire economy. But that also takes a little bit of time. There's another component of this, Sean, which to me is maybe the most important, because I care so much about our young people being able to afford a good life. A lot of young people are saying housing is way too expensive. Why is that? Because we flooded the country with 30 million illegal immigrants who were taking houses that ought by right go to American citizens. And at the same time, we weren't building enough new houses to begin with, even for the population that we had. So what we're doing is trying to make it easier to build houses, trying to make it easier to build factories and things like that so that people have good jobs. We're also getting all of those illegal aliens out of our country, and you're already seeing it start to pay some dividends.
Yep. So Observing Consciousness said, housing's broken. You add 30 million illegal migrants into the housing market. Prices spike, supply tightens, young families get pushed out of their own future. He's cut straight to the root. Trump team will surge affordability by expanding supply, removing the pressure that was engineered into the system, build more homes, clear out the illegal population drain, and restore access to the people who built this country. It's as simple when you see it from the system's view. Trump is about to unwind it. Check this out on some of this.
Officers from our Fraud Detection and National Security Directorate, working in teams, have conducted over 1,000 site visits across the Minneapolis-St. Paul area as part of this operation. What they found should shock all of America. Focusing on a list of over 1,000 target cases involving more than 900 individuals, our officers encountered blatant marriage fraud, visa overstays, people claiming to work at businesses that can't be found, forged documents, abuse of the H-1B visa system, abuse of the F-1 visas, and many other discrepancies. Over the course of the operation, our officers found indication of fraud, non-compliance, or public safety and national security concerns in nearly a little less than 50% of the cases interviewed. We found troubling patterns with the Uniting for Ukraine program that should have raised serious concerns under other administrations, such as an individual filing to sponsor more than 100 aliens, and organizations sponsoring hundreds. We are continuing to investigate these cases. Some of the other troubling cases that our officers found. In one case, officers identified an alien who had overstayed his visa waiver, who was the son of a known or suspected terrorist on the no-fly list. He had previously been found to have engaged in marriage fraud, which resulted in the denial of several immigration benefit requests. He was arrested and is now presently being returned to his country of origin. In another, an individual admitted to obtaining a fake death certificate in Kenya for just $100 to prove he was no longer married. In reality, his wife is alive, living here in Minneapolis, and is the mother of 5 of his children. And incidentally, he has another wife living in Sweden with whom he has an additional 3 children. In another case, an alien entered the United States without inspection in 2023, was released by Border Patrol. The alien married a U.S. citizen while in removal proceedings and was interviewed at the Minneapolis-St. Paul USCIS field office just last week, where both he and his American spouse, stated under oath that their marriage was legitimate. The USCIS officers conducting the interview were suspicious. The site visits were authorized the same day. The American spouse ultimately that afternoon admitted the marriage was fraudulent and entered into solely for immigration purposes and withdrew her petition for that alien. This type of same-day action for interview, from interview to site visit, has...
I wonder if they're going to do this to old Ilhan Omar, right? That married her brother so she could be in the United States. Very interesting. Remember when they said President Trump kind of put out a message and said all those folks that stayed at work, the air traffic controllers, I don't remember him mentioning TSA agents, but if you're looking at your screen, Secretary Kristi Noem gave $10,000 bonus checks to TSA agents who remained on duty during the Democrat shutdown. And I saw another interview where they're actually going to give the $10,000 to those that served as air traffic controllers and didn't walk out. And I don't know, I was kind of looking at the faces here of the people standing here. They're about to get $10,000 handed to them. And I'm wondering, who did they vote for? Are they Trump supporters? Do they hate him even though he ensured that they got a $10,000 check? I mean, the people that he put into power helped to get that money to him. Are they going to go home and say, yeah, I got my money, but I still hate him. I'll never vote for those guys again? Or are they Trump supporters and they're just grateful for that they voted for him? I don't know. It's gonna be a lot of eyes on this. They don't look happy. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Like they're just standing there like, oh, I can't believe I'm here, But, to be honest with you, I probably, if I was invited back in the day to meet Barack Hussein Obama Barry Sotero, I probably would have said, no, I'm not going. And if they would have said, well, we're going to hand you a check because you stayed at work and that was a government service employee or whatever, I don't know. Maybe I'd probably show up because we didn't have hardly anything back then. I'd probably be that guy, like, just don't smile, get the check and walk out. I don't know. I'm just telling you guys, I'm just keeping it real, just being transparent here. We got to do it. Oh, I don't know if I got any amens there, but we're trying. Speaking of amens, let's get a little break here from Mike, Hunter's Blend Coffee.
When you're driving along at night and you meet an oncoming vehicle with really bright lights, you don't want to hit that thing, so you kind of look at it because you want to avoid it. But the problem is it blinds you to where you need to be, and you tend to drift towards what you focus on. So the best practice is keep your eye on that white line on the right side of the road. It'll help you avoid that vehicle, keep you on the straight and narrow. Well, in the battlefield for the mind, we need the same thing. We need a white line because our mind can get spinning all day long on some kind of situation beyond our control we're trying to fix or figure out, or fear, anxiety, whatever it is, maybe keeps you up at night. And rather than continuing to focus on that, to try to fix and solve it, we need a white line. And I would suggest the best of all is Jesus Christ. Something to think about and focus on. There's an old song that says, turn your eyes upon Jesus, look full in his wonderful face, and the things of this earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. And something I've been doing lately that's been a game changer, it's something you can do at any time, day or night. Repeat the 23rd Psalm out loud. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil because you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely, goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Welcome to the Great Awakening.
Pretty cool. Don't you just love that, folks? You can go in the description box below, click on that link so they'll know that you, when you click on it, they'll know, oh, they must have saw the video and they watched it on the show. And we know, and you're going to have an amazing website to go to, Hunter's Blend Coffee. They got this seasonal spotlight stuff showing up. That's so cool. Wow. Look at that. Great coffee for you guys. And what a great time of the year to have it. I drink their decaf, and it's actually really good. They have they buy the top 6% of specialty coffee beans. They roast it with precision in small batches. They ship it. Locally roasted coffee, fresh to your door. They support organizations and causes that are near and dear to the hearts of many freedom-loving Americans, such as pro-life, youth shooting sports, veterans, hunting and conservation, patriot, and anti-sex trafficking. Absolutely amazing. Check them out, folks. Great support for all of us out there. Now, I'm going to head over to California after that and let's see what's happening there.
It isn't even illicit. They are flat out publicizing what they're trying to do and why they're trying to do it. They're trying to create seats based on race, and they can't do it. And we're going to hold them accountable just like any other state. I mean, they very publicly said, Sean, what they're trying to do, and it's illegal gerrymandering. They cannot do it. So yeah, we sued them today. We're going to continue suing California until they start complying with the laws of our country, whether it's what else? Sanctuary cities, the Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. We're winning in the Supreme Court.
National Guard.
Our ICE, that's exactly right, that the National Guard and ICE can be in California to actually protect the citizens of California. Let's see what else. Illegal emissions from trucks. And look what Sean Duffy did today. Look what he found with all the truckers who were given illegal licenses, truck driving licenses in California. It's constant with that state.
17,000 of them, by the way. That number 17 popped up. Those driver's license illegally given to those folks, and they're going to get taken care of. Yeah. You'd think, California, my goodness, guys. A lot of supporters out there. You guys know I love the state. Beautiful place. And I just hurt every time I see reports like this. Here's some more out of Kelly.
California is now becoming the front lines of America's collapse in public safety. You don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to the sheriff and law enforcement. California is becoming a testing ground for a new philosophy in criminal justice, one that is trading accountability for excuses. And mark my words, that never works. Under the state's new law, mental health diversion laws, judges can dismiss criminal charges even for the most violent felonies if an offender claims a diagnosable mental disorder and completes treatment. So that means, and it's happening, child abusers, gang members, repeat robbers can avoid prison entirely once their treatment is done and their records are wiped clean. So you're seeing offenders repeat over and over again heinous crimes. Law enforcement officials, including the Sacramento County Sheriff Jim Cooper, actually warned that inmates are already bragging about how to fake a mental health claim to get out. They know that there's no real punishment, no deterrence, and no respect left for the rule of law. This is not reform. This is a collapse of the justice system. And California is now leading in the nation for homelessness, taxation, declining public safety. And you're seeing businesses leaving, families locking their doors even earlier every night. The state that once used to be a symbol of opportunity and innovation is just a flashing red warning and a light for the rest of the country. This is not about politics today. This is about principle and protecting the American people. When government continues to excuse crime instead of confronting it, innocent people pay the price. If this is the model that California wants to export to the rest of the country, the rest of Americans should look very closely at what Gavin Newsom is doing and just say no.
That's right. California used mail-in ballots from canceled, removed voters to rig Prop 50. 8 days after evidence was given to the U.S. Department of Justice and the White House, Trump's administration announced California was under legal and criminal review. Justice is coming for California. You better believe it. Where else is justice coming? Well, we've been talking about the health insurance stuff that's been going on, and a lot of folks have been complaining about it. And this health and medical insurance broker shares about a client on the Barack Obama Affordable Care Act.
So just got out of a meeting with one of my marketplace health insurance clients. Their premiums going from about $250 a month in 2025 to over $2,800 in 2026. So as you may already know, marketplace health insurance is seeing some of the biggest rate increases we've seen in years. The reason for that is when the American Rescue Act was passed that sent out all the stimulus checks in 2021, there was a stipulation in there about ACA health insurance to help more people get coverage, get on insurance. But since then, premium increases have risen so much that when they're planning on taking those away, we're going to see dramatic increases in those same health insurance plans. Who's being affected the most when it comes to these subsidy changes is going to be the middle income families. Single individual who makes over $60,000 might get no tax credits. As a household of two, if you make over $84,000, you could get no tax credits and see your premiums go from said $250 to $2,800. So in this case, the couple is an early.
So just wanted to show you this. Again, Observing Conscious providing some good material today for us. Thank you. Been writing that the shutdown is the vehicle to take down the Affordable Care Act and the insurance cartel, and Trump is now spelling it out with no hesitation. It's the middleman purge, the pharmacy benefit managers, the PBMs, the bloated insurance layers, the coded billing games, the subsidy laundering, the premium hikes that never match care quality. All of it sits inside a system built to feed the deep state through one of the largest profit engines on earth. These companies inflated stock values by 1,000%, while families ate higher deductibles and weaker coverage. They handed out scraps while harvesting billions. Trump's message lands like a hammer. He's cutting out the middle layers, redirecting hundreds of billions of dollars straight to the Americans. That hits the deep state core because Obamacare created a dependency network that kept money flowing through captured companies, captured hospital systems, captured data brokers, and PBMs that set drug prices in back rooms. It was a perfect pipeline. The shutdown becomes the inflection point that exposes how much money was being pulled out of the public and pushed into the cartel. When Trump says the money goes directly to the people, he's breaking the last stable pillar of this ACA, the Affordable Care Act. He is taking government dollars and placing them in our hands. The Unaffordable Care Act is what we should call it, right? That strips the cartel of leverage. It removes the guaranteed revenue that allowed them to inflate premiums and manipulate markets, and it ends the rigged structure where Americans paid more every year for weaker care. We get the power to buy what we want. We get the power to negotiate. We get the power to walk away from bad plans. Americans become the market again instead of the product. The deep state loses $1 trillion pipeline. Americans gain control, lower costs, better care, direct line between their money and their health. Trump's not hiding the plan. He's announcing it in plain sight. This is the beginning of the end of the Obamacare machine and the corporate network that fed on it. You know, other people have been speaking out on the Democrat side against all that Democrats are standing for. One of them, I don't really show him much. I see him and I'm like, I don't really want to show this guy. I don't know if he's really going to be totally in support of what's going on. Sometimes I just don't trust these guys when they claim they're Democrats and they're actually saying, I don't see why the Democrats behaved like they do. Well, Fetterman, look what happened to him.
Fox News Alert, Pennsylvania Democratic Senator John Fetterman was hospitalized after a fall this morning. It happened near his home in western Pennsylvania. Doctors say he had an episode of ventricular fibrillation, which is an irregular heart rhythm. The spokesperson for Fetterman says he felt lightheaded after the fall, had some facial injuries.
Facial injury. I wonder if he's going to have a black eye. Wonder if they beat him up. You ever noticed other people that had black eyes before they came out and started acting crazy recently? So I wonder what he was up to. Why would he suddenly fall, quote unquote, and hurt his face? Because I'm wondering what he's going to look like. Are they going to release the pictures of what he looks like? Because recently, look what he says on CNN about the left.
You said, quote, I've drunk deeply of the venom of both the left and the right. As a connoisseur, I can confirm that the most poisonous, the bitterest, is from the far left. That is pretty remarkable to hear you say that as an elected Democrat. Why?
No. It's just been my personal experience on this thing. And when I asked my digital team, I said, we're on all the platforms. Really, what's kind of the harshest? What's kind of the most personal? And the answer was immediate. They said, "Oh, blue sky. It's blue sky." And the difference is, the right would say really rough things and names. Some names I won't repeat on TV, but the on the left, it was like they want me to die, or that we're cheering for your next stroke, or that's terrible that depression won. Why couldn't it depression won? And I hope your kids find you. They even have like the graphic, a GIF where they have like a stroke, in your head, cheering at that. Yeah, and they said that. I remember one, they claimed, the doctor let us down, and why did they have to save his life? Just really, I just can't imagine. People are wishing, I wish he dies, or I want him to die, literally cheering for a stroke. And I don't know what the kind of a place where that comes from. That's much different than just calling me a name. That's
those that preach tolerance. Those that tell you, we just want to be loved for who we are. We were born we were transforming our bodies, and you have to accept us for who we are. And then they steal the flag from the scriptures, the make it into a flag, the rainbow, and they remove one of the colors. And just accept us for what we do behind closed doors. We want everybody to accept us. We don't ever have big marches for our families and say, accept us because we're having children and we're trying to make it the best we can as families, and we create our own beautiful flag. No, we don't try to force that down. You can accept us, tolerance. And then the moment that he starts telling the truth about the left, they want him gone. And then he goes out on CNN and says that, and the next thing you know, what do? They report that he's been hospitalized. He falls and he had some damage to his face. Just, spidey senses there, making me wonder what's really going on. So President Trump came out with Melania, and they signed a bill, basically. Let me show it to you. Signed an executive order boosting support for foster children who age out of the system. 47, that's Trump, had Melania sign it too, and she spearheaded this effort. Each year, 15,000 young people age out of the foster care system, President Trump said. 50% of them end up homeless. Remember, I brought this up, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was showing you, video clips of homeless people and living on the streets and how they weren't being taken care of. And I said, guys, there's no telling where they come from or what they've been through in their lives. And a lot of them are veterans and more. I was like, man, I had no idea that a lot of them could come from the child care system. They turn 18, 19, they're kicked out, and then boom, they're out on the streets. And I thought, see? That's what makes me hurt for them. And then they offer them drugs. Remember, I think it was in California. Here, take these needles. Go ahead and stick yourself. And here, free drugs for all of you guys. Go ahead and ruin your life. This is part of the First Lady's Fostering the Future initiative, which secures educational opportunities and scholarships for children in foster care. And listen to what President Trump said.
That's why with the order that we're doing today, we're taking the ridiculous woke policies that discriminate against Christians and families of faith. As president, I will always stand by us. We will stand by our country, and we will stand for religious liberty. So important. We stand for religious liberty. The Bible tells us, thank you. Thank you. The Bible tells us that one of the measures of any society is how it cares for vulnerable children and orphans. So important, and it's so big in the Bible. So as we make America great again, we are going to protect American children in foster care, and we're going to ensure that they will never, ever be forgotten. These children will never be forgotten, and they're going to grow up to be unbelievable, strong, smart, wealthy, productive citizens. So once more, I want to thank Melania for the great job she does, not here only just as First Lady. She's a great First Lady. And I want to thank you very much, honey, and the foster families and leaders here today. You're very special people, and we're going to work together, and we're going to have some absolutely incredible results. Thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Pretty amazing quoting the scriptures and more there. And, there's a lot of danger that's out there for our children facing them. And here's some more taking care of the children. ICE Deputy Director Madison Sheehan. Check this out.
In just 10 days, we've been able to remove, in partnership with the state of Florida, over 230 of the worst heinous criminals from their streets. Our job as law enforcement is to protect the most vulnerable. Democrats will tell you that that is the criminal illegal aliens who they have let run free in our communities, but not this group of law enforcement. We know that it's the children that is our job to protect. These men and women put their lives on the line every single day to protect the children of their communities and protect the American people and put them first. And that's just what we've done. These heinous criminals have gone and attacked children at their most vulnerable state, and law enforcement has stepped up to the plate to remove them from the communities. Over the last 10 days, we have removed 54 sexual predators, 164 offenders of sexual crimes, 2 convicted murderers, 1 convicted of drug trafficking, and 8.
And so you'll notice here, President Trump meeting with the children in the Oval Office. It's so amazing. And before I play this, just want to remind you from the cue board, we said this. It says this. Sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them. Only then will people find the will to change. Crimes against children unite all humanity. cross party lines, ? Difficult truths. And so crimes against children equal common denominator, no matter political affiliation, mass population awakening. Remember, have faith in humanity. So check this out with President Trump in the Oval Office.
As for you,
He's handing pens for those listening
you want it or you don't have to have it.
to these precious children. And then it looks like he's handing a giant coin, and she takes it.
You want one, honey? You want one, too?
He wants a coin too, and he brings up the little boy, and the boy asks
He's got a lot
him,
of Italian blood in him. Look, that's for you.
Well, you want to know what your name is?
My name is Donald. Okay, do you want a pen? Want a pen? One.
you know, the children aren't afraid of him. And how many of you guys out there know, I mean, most of you, right, that listen, know, children can sense, I really believe they can sense evil a lot of times. And they get really nervous around folks that they feel like a little off on, right? But then folks that seem very comfortable and they walk up to, like President Trump, they're curious. He hands them stuff. They're not afraid of him. They're smiling. They're giggling. And that is so, so precious to us. Chuck Grassley said, pleased that President Trump and First Lady Melania signed the executive order to increase support for youth who have experienced foster care and its important commitment to improve the lives of foster youth. I look forward to supporting these efforts. And it's interesting because he posts that at 16:15. 16:15 on the cue board says winning, Patriots one and all. And of course, we have that Delta 504. We are talking directly to this board. Learn our comms. It's amazing. It's amazing, too, that I saw this before we close out. Mary posted this, the children in the pen at 7:01 p.m. Eastern Time, 17, right? You reverse that. The children make me look at Drop 866 about the Clinton Foundation. So much is open source, so much left to be connected. Why are the children in Haiti high demand? How are they smuggled out? Adoption process. Local staging ports friendly to the Clinton Foundation. Track the donations crossed against location relative to Haiti. The choice to know will be yours. The pen in Decode Part 2. So President Trump handing out the pens to the children, right? Well, the pen makes me think of Drop 1776. Without the pen of the author of Common Sense, the sword of Washington would have been raised in vain, John Adams. Comms for freedom, no more slavery, no more child slavery, no more child sex slavery, no more human trafficking. And there's the pen, 1776. Remember that from the cue board? What great memories to have out there. Real AF Patriot posted this. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Prepare for God and country. For humanity, we fight. Q.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, again, how wonderful it is to belong to you at such a time as this, watching things play out for so many years now, almost a decade, for most of us, learning and growing and understanding how this has all been playing out for humanity. And we know that you've heard our cries, many of us, for so many years, wondering what's so dark and evil. Why is it having such an effect on our children and hurting us so bad? And you've answered the prayers. You've heard the cries of the people. And again, we say thank you. And we ask that you continue to put the right leadership forward, that they would be surrounded by mighty fortress of angels, and that everywhere they go, they would have full protection around them as they continue to navigate and push this enemy away. We also come before your throne, making several requests known to you, and you know them all as we come to you in prayer each and every day. Just again, in awe of you and how you have been operating and sent your only Son, that whoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. And in his name, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen and amen. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in, for spending time with us today. Thank you for your prayers, for jumping on board with the Thankful Thursdays. Worked so hard, long hours to get that put together for you, and just appreciate all of you out there that are jumping on those promos. It's just been tremendous, and those coming on the cruise that are thinking about that. Looking forward to having you. We still have openings there, and we just appreciate you. For now, this is LT. Have a great weekend. Semper Fi with them we know. Signing out.
President Trump did not receive or send any of the messages, which largely predated his time as president. He's not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in connection with Epstein or Maxwell.
Another matter, over the past few days, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has unveiled shocking new evidence that former President Barack Obama and top aides in the Obama administration conspired to subvert President Trump's 2016 election victory.
Jason Redding Quinones, he is the U.S. attorney who was picked by Donald Trump to lead that office in Miami this past August, that he is effectively overseeing what is amounting to a sprawling investigation, a conspiracy investigation. And this is important. Folks are going to continue to hear about this in the months ahead. It is the idea that the Biden administrations, the Obama administrations, individuals who were law enforcement and intelligence community officials were seeking to undermine the candidacies and presidencies of Donald Trump.